how you build relationship and trust with your potential customers and partners in Saudi Arabia, and if there are any tweaks or repositioning of your product was needed, and how hard it was for you to enter the Saudi market.
I think the Saudi market or any market in the world, it's never going to be easy. I think there's a strategy to sometimes go top down with a large organization. Sometimes it's bottom up. I'll tell you a story. So one of our GM from Saudi, he's here in the audience. Me and him realized that there's a place called Exit 17 in Riyadh where you have a lot of heavy equipment and vehicles. We said, okay, let's park our car and let's go warehouse by warehouse introducing our product to everybody. During that process, he got bit by one of the dogs, and then he had to spend the next 7 days in the hospital. So that was the bottom-up approach. But levity aside, the reality is entering any market is going to be challenging, and it will have unique challenges. The Saudi market will have unique challenges. The Chinese market will have unique challenges. And you need to have an adaptable mindset to figure out how to navigate that specific market. But just a tactical tip, and something that's helped us a lot, is we tend to attend a lot of events. Events like this, events like other trade shows in new markets. So if we're interested in, let's say, the Holland market, we will go to Holland, we'll go to a conference, meet the people, understand the lay of the land, understand the sentiment, try and find some decision makers. Saudi market, similar thing. We came here first for an event. We met a lot of people. We had follow-on meetings with them just to understand what is the current requirement and what is the interest. And I think that helps you get a lot of knowledge very quickly that you can't find online. So attending a lot of events, doing the bottom-up approach where you go meet your client, you figure out where do they live, where do they work, and if you can actually solve a problem for them. And the third thing is your product most likely will need to have some sort of change when you enter any new market. It could be something like a language change. For example, you might have a different diaspora in your industry in the UAE, in Saudi versus, let's say, Mexico. And you need to adapt your product for that specific community, for that language. It could be something more, let's say, product-driven, as John mentioned, where the check-in process is fundamentally different in Saudi Arabia versus another market. So there will be product changes, there will be cultural changes, there will be different requirements, there will be different needs. And it's on you as a company to find out and go through this discovery process and make those changes as required.
Great, thank you, Arjun. Thomas, in terms of Altea, how you build the trust with the client. You mentioned you met with delegation from Saudi and Davos. Is there any tweaks that were needed for your product? Did it require a repositioning or some sort of tweaking to enter the Saudi market?
Yes. Actually, it's something that's very common in Saudi Arabia to want to have a very strong and proven solution, but also to have it tailored to their specific needs. They really want to have this kind of ad hoc solution for their purpose. So that's something that we do almost every time, actually, when we have a client here in Saudi. We also developed some specific modules. One that's very cool, it's a sand management module that allows you to know in advance where the dunes are going to move, and that allows you to avoid sand encroachment. That's not something that we sell in Europe, for example. But apart from that, yes, we tweak a bit our solution all the time to fit to specific needs. It's very easy for us because we are full ownership of our solution stack. We build it from the ground, so we can play with it as much as we want and adapt it. But regard to Saudi, I would say it just takes time. It takes time to create trust. And one thing also that can change is, you talk with an organization, and the people here can change position very quickly. So you have to be not afraid to do a first POC and then a second one because the manager is charged has changed, and give it time, and then the industrialization of your solution is, if it's good, it's going to happen.
Okay, great. You guys work in different countries, all of you. So, how can founders best prepare themselves to attract investments? Sorry, just for the cutout, from different countries. And I'm sure a couple of you have raised money in Saudi from Saudi investors. If you haven't done, how would you invest? How would you attract investment from different countries? If you've done in Saudi, what are the tips that you provide, you can give for other startups who is planning to expand to the region here and raise fund in Saudi? I'll start with you, John.
So in terms of H2O, we have several global institutions who invested in our company, and one of the things that they saw in us was being global. So what that, I think global is one of the catchphrases these days, especially in Asian VC market. Is this company actually going to go global? Is it going to be regional? Is it going to be one local company? So there has to be multiple aspects that you have to prove that you actually can be global. Not just Asia. Well, I think we're at the stage where we're proving that we're not just going to be in Asia. So I think that part is in the process of it. In terms of a Saudi investor and also other investors in this Middle Eastern region, one of the things that they really looked into H2O was what can you add value to the country, which is very different from the angle that Korean or Chinese or Japanese investors looked at, or American investors looked at, which was very unique. But at the same time, you really have to be very clear on what you actually, your product or your solution can actually add value to the country. So I think that you really have to think about when you're trying to receive money from this Middle Eastern region VCs or from sovereign funds, I think.
Have you raised anything in Saudi?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And how was your experience? How did you prepare for it? You mentioned they have to show the angle of adding value to the country.
I think the key aspect from our end was actually the Asian tours, bringing the Asian outbound tours to the country.
To the kingdom, I see. Okay, Mu'taz, I know you guys raised big round in Saudi.
Yeah.
How was your experience, and how would you suggest or give an advice to other founders basically to prepare themselves to raise money in the region?
I mean, let's start with the biggest highlight that Saudi Arabia is the largest capital. I mean, in terms of investment with the startups. It was announced by SVC. I mean, quite sometimes. I mean, so tracker experience has been evolved throughout all of that journey. So we were approaching, either VCs or whatever, investment kind of institutions on, the early stage, pre-seed, seeds, and round A. At the early stage, for sure, the welcoming is not as you are into like advanced stage. But if you have the right concept that you convince the investors, and the growth plan is something very, unique and important. Let me tell you a very interesting thing that happened to me as a person. I was doing my MBA at MBSC, which is for entrepreneurship, master for entrepreneurship, and I was pitching for the Uber for trucks that days. And one of the external examiner was one of Trucker's early founders institution. And when I was pitching the idea of Uber for trucks, he said, "Why don't you go and meet Trucker?" It was like an eye opener for me that also investors kind of enabler for you to know the market, which is something you might be from a business perspective, you don't know much. Those investors will unlock something that you don't see, and it goes beyond. For us also, strategizing and diversifying the investor is very important for you. So Tracker was fortunate to diversify the investors from based on the strategy of what we are heading down the road. So, for example, the latest announcement we did for round C, our investor was taking us for the journey of pre-IPO stage, and now our ultimate goal within that stage that to be a publicly listed company. So, strategizing, understanding the market of investment is very important. And last not least, the fruitful outcomes of that investors, they want to handhold you for a better success, because they know your success is their success. And at the end of the day, they want to look at their deep pocket. If you are making the money for them, then I will handhold you all the way until you become mature. So choosing the investor which take you to that level is very important. And I think Saudi market is the market where you can find all of that. And the positive sentiment about the Saudi market is another angle for for Tracker. And we're still seeing Saudi is like something that still has more for us. And maybe it was announced earlier that Tracker is one of the Saudi unicorn, and we hope to tap into the unicorn, inshallah. We're a pseudocorn, but we want to be a unicorn.